Hey, hey, back here with another commander deck. This is a very special deck because it is illegal. It is not allowed. The commander is Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf, of course, not a legendary creature, just a regular creature. I don't really know what a Tarmogoyf is. It's a type of Lurgoyf. I guess it's like a species of Lurgoyf. I don't know. But it just sort of has the legendary status. Like it's Tarmogoyf. It's sort of a legend. So this is an unofficial Rule Zero commander deck that I've had for quite a while now. It is like whenever I bring it out, I just have to be like, oh, by the way, this is a Rule Zero, and I've never had somebody say like, oh no, you can't play the Tarmogoyf deck because it's just Tarmogoyf. Like everybody loves Tarmogoyf. Um, for anybody that doesn't know what Tarmogoyf does, because it's not really a commander card. It's more of like an old modern. It's not even really a modern card anymore. It used to be good, but its power and toughness is equal to the number of card types in all graveyards. Toughness is equal to that plus one. So artifacts, creatures, instant sorceries, kindred, enchantments, planeswalker battles. I don't know if I'm missing any lands. All those beef up Tarmogoyf's power and toughness, and it only costs 2 mana. So in the past, this was like a very efficient, very strong creature, even though it doesn't have any other abilities. It's basically just a big, big creature. In the past, this was a very good creature in modern because it would just like run over people. Like if a Tarmogoyf hits you, you can take a whole bunch of damage. Um, but this commander deck is built around Tarmogoyf. It's mono green, as you can see, and the reason I made this deck is because Tarmogoyf is like near and dear to my heart. I pulled a foil Tarmogoyf back in the first modern Masters, and I sold it for a whole bunch of money, and I've loved the card since. So Tarmogoyf, very very cool creature. Like I said, kind of a legend. Should be legendary. um, and this deck is built around the graveyard. Mono green is a little bit tricky for graveyard shenanigans. There is some mill. There's not really like reanimator stuff in mono green. That's more of a black thing or even a white thing. But in mono green, you just mostly can like reanimate lands is your thing. So like you try to fill up your graveyard with all kinds of stuff by milling. It also works with other people's graveyards, so that can be helpful sometimes to just make Tarmogoyf even bigger if you just happen to not mill a creature or a land yet. Because you're going to be in a 4-player game most of the time, so it's going to be easy to get Tarmogoyf nice and big. And he costs so little that the deck is sort of built around having a big creature and doing big creature stuff. So it's not necessarily a Voltron deck. There is some Voltron elements, like having a Greaves, having a Lightning Greaves. I should probably put some unblockable lands in here, like a Rogue's Passage, maybe, or the Daily Bugle building or something like that, um, just to help out Tarmogoyf a little bit. But it's mostly sort of supposed to be resilient, because Tarmogoyf, if he's just beating people with commander damage, because I do count it as commander damage, even though he's not legendary. He is my commander, so he does do commander damage. If he beats people with commander damage, they're eventually going to be like, oh no, Tarmogoyf is going to kill me. I have to stop it. And he has no inherent protection or anything like that. So they're gonna kill my Tarmogoyf, sadly. But he's so cheap that I can usually play him again. So what can you do in mono green by having a big creature? Well, the main thing you can do is draw a lot of cards. So there are like 4 or 5 different cards now that do this, 5 or 6, and some of them are good, some of them are not so good anymore. But like Season of Gathering, you draw cards equal to Gray's power among creatures you control, and you can put 2 counters on a creature if you spend 2 of your paw prints on that. Giving it Vigilance and Trample, that's great for Tarmogoyf too, giving him Trample. There's a lot of cards that do that. So let me see. Let me go down the list here. Season of Gathering, Rishkar's Expertise, Lifestream's Blessing, Garruk Primal Hunter, Disciple of Freyles. These are all cards that are going to draw a lot. They're going to draw cards equal to your greatest power. So you're going to draw, like, if you've maxed out your Tarmogoyf, his power is 9. And there's a lot of other ways to get him even bigger in this deck. So if you have like a Reliquary Tower out and you draw 9 cards, you're just going to be like pretty set for value for quite a while. You're going to have so many cards you don't even know what to do with them. So that is one of the main things that this deck sort of, you just have a huge creature. You try to fill up your graveyard and get value out of your graveyard as well. So like Perpetual Timepiece is great, just milling all the time. And then you can like Regrowth. You can Esper Origins. This is a great card for this deck specifically because not only does it surveil on the front side, so you can sort of like put cards in your graveyard that way, but then if you cast it from your graveyard, it's going to be a pretty sweet creature that just kind of draws you a card right away, adds some mana, gives Tarmogoyf Trample, and then goes back into the graveyard, continuing to fuel your Tarmogoyf, keeping the sorcery element going. Yeah, it's I guess it doesn't go back to your graveyard. Oops. But it's still like you want to be milling in this deck. So if you happen to mill this, that's good. Happen to mill other things, that's good too. So yeah, there's some weird cards in this deck, like Battles. Battles is going to be the hardest card type to get in the graveyard because like literally nobody plays Battles anymore. I feel like around the time of Martian Machines, some people played some Battles just to like experiment with them. But nowadays, there's really not, like, I think Invasion of Ikoria is the only one that really gets much play anymore, just as like a tutor, like a Green Sun Zenith. But there are 3 battles in this deck. The first one here, Invasion of Ixalan, it's kind of like a mono green Anticipate. You look at the top 5 cards, you get a permanent, and then it sticks around as a battle, which you can defeat pretty easy with Tarmogoyf. He's going to be big enough to defeat these battles if he hits, and just turns into a 4/3. So not super great, but really the main thing you want to do with these battles is get them out of here, get them in the graveyard, because that just makes Tarmogoyf bigger. And there's sort of this mini game that you're playing when you make this deck, which is kind of fun. I love it. You're trying to like get Tarmogoyf as big as he can. Even if you don't win the game, you can say, "Oh, I got Tarmogoyf as big as he could, so I got him up to 9." And that's also just good. It's good to have your commander be extra large. A good way to win with this deck is through commander damage. So milling these battles is great. Invasion of Ixalan, definitely the worst one. Invasion of Zendikar, it's just a explosive vegetation, grabs 2 basic lands, flips into just this like land creature that can tap for mana and has vigilance and haste. And then the final one, Invasion of Ravnica, is pretty bad, but in mono green, it's actually not the worst because it is removal for anything that has, uh, what is it? It isn't exactly 2 colors. So this is going to get most of the things. It's 5 mana, which isn't great. It also flips into a creature that doesn't do anything in this deck except for being a 5/5. So it's just a little bit of removal. This one, you might not want to discard it or mill it. You might want to keep it just in case you run into some really good non-creature or creature permanents even, because green just doesn't have a lot of good ways to get rid of creatures. So you can play Invasion of Ravnica if you really need to get rid of something. But yeah, those are the battles. There's also a couple of planeswalkers. There's a couple of great kindred spells. When I first made this deck, there weren't that many, but they've been slowly adding some more. And I guess with the new Lorwyn set, there should be some new ones coming in. But Tarmogoyf Nest is an auto include. In this deck, it might be good. It's a lot of mana. Like the first Tarmogoyf you make with this is 6 mana, which is almost like playing a Tarmogoyf after it's died twice. But then after that, they're going to be 2 mana per, so you're just going to be able to make one each turn. There's a couple of ways to like make multiples, like Arbor Elf or Garruk Wildspeaker. You can untap it to do it again. Ends up being a lot of mana. But yeah, kindred spells not Song of the Dryads, Lignify, a couple others, I believe. And then other than that, you just sort of playing creatures, trying to mill yourself as much as you can. Like I said, there's a couple of great ways to mill, like Perpetual Timepiece, 6. Like, my plan for this deck is if somebody does say, "Oh, Tarmogoyf can't be your commander," I might just I can just switch into 6 because it's sort of the mono green mill commander. A little bit different. There's weird cards in here that don't really work with 6, but it's my backup, I suppose. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to mill, trying to make a big Tarmogoyf. You're either trying to do commander damage with Tarmogoyf, give them trample with stuff, um, stuff like Obsessive Skinner. This is technically like a Delirium deck, so you're going to have Delirium pretty often. And like that's sort of the whole point of the deck is to get as many card types in the graveyard as you can. So Obsessive Skinner is actually pretty great. It's a little bit like Tarmogoyf, where all it does is power, so it just keeps putting counters on Tarmogoyf. So you're going to get 3 counters each turn with Obsessive Skinner, and that's going to quickly make Tarmogoyf into a lethal threat. Like 1 turn cycle, Tarmogoyf can go from a 9-10 to a 13-14, which is a 2-shot kill. So that's just gonna make Tarmogoyf really scary. Stuff like Demolisher Spawn, making him bigger, making your whole board bigger. There's a couple of ways to go wide in this deck, like Titania. The sort of backup plan is to just do great green value stuff. So like Titania, have a bunch of forests in your graveyard, make a bunch of 5/3s. Pretty good. There's a lot of ways to bring back all your lands from your graveyard too, because you're just going to be milling with this deck a lot. So Will of the Sultai, Summon Titan, Aftermath Analyst. This is like an auto include for this deck. Lumra, all this stuff. Renin 7. Renin 7 plays them from your hand. Never mind. But yeah, lots of ways to bring them back from your graveyard. So graveyard, lands, boom, boom. Get a bunch of lands, make a bunch of 5/3s, a little bit of an alternate win con there. Or just have like a really huge Lumra, really huge Sandman, just classic green shenanigans, giant creatures. So yeah, back to the sort of the vegetables of the deck. It is mono green, so you have to be a little flexible. You have to play some not not ideal cards. Oblivion Stone, kind of a good just colorless removal spell. Mass Disruption, one of the only board wipes you can play. Lots of ways to get rid of artifacts and enchantments, of course. Apex Altarsaur, classic, just fight everything. Also just a big creature, so this is going to help with all your Rishkars and all that. Ramp, you're going to be ramping like crazy, so the plan is like you can just get a bunch of lands, draw a bunch of cards, play a bunch of creatures. You can win that way. Back to Will of the Sultai. This card is great for this deck. This is maybe one of the best, just because it does all the modes you want to do. You mill cards, you beef up Tarmogoyf a whole bunch, and you return all your lands. So you just have a huge Tarmogoyf swing in for the Goyf damage. Kogla, classic. Yeah, love Kogla. Comes in, punches something. Bow of Nylea is a little bit goofy. It is an artifact enchantment, so you can mill it to get both of those types. It sort of helps out the Tarmogoyf. If you get Trample and Death Touch, that's going to be great. It can even rebuy some cards in your graveyard. If somebody's about to exile your graveyard and you want to be able to still play those cards this game, you can tap it in like a clutch moment and keep some really key cards, like even some of these battles, because there's a chance that if you're playing this deck, somebody tries to exile your graveyard. Very bad news. So you have like Perpetual Timepiece or Bow of Nylea are your only options. Other than that, you're just going to try to keep milling. So if your graveyard gets exiled, Tarmogoyf gets really, really small. Still can be pretty big because of other players' graveyards, but you're going to lose out on a lot of card types, most likely. Um, yeah, Polygoyf. Honestly, Polygoyf could be my commander. It would be a lot better, but it's just not as classic as Tarmogoyf. And Tarmogoyf does cost one less, which can be very helpful. Polygoyf, of course, just being a Tarmogoyf that attacks all players at once. Very sweet. Um, yeah. So I guess a couple of other weird cards. Wickerfolk Thrasher, not really a super great card, but you're almost always going to have Delirium, like I said. So it's kind of just a pretty efficient 5/3 for 4. Attacks, draws a card every turn, pretty much. Can get lands. Um, pretty goofy, but still pretty good. And yeah, I love Bristly Bud Farmer. Kind of does a similar thing. Tax, mills cards, returns permanents. But yeah, I love this deck a lot. It's a lot of fun. Even the lands. I used to have a version of this deck that had a lot of non-basic lands, which you kind of want to still have some reliable forest stuff. And I love doing some like Arbor Elf, Titania, some forest stuff. So I do have a lot of forests, but you could just go a route where you just have a lot of these non-basic lands. Probably want to put that Rogue's Passage in, like I said. But you can play. I like to play these Surveil lands just because they enter and they're just going to mill, which can make Tarmogoyf bigger. All good, all good. And yeah, so let me know what you think of this. Maybe bored. Got some cool stuff. Like you could just go more of a lands route. I feel like there's better commanders if you just want to do lands. So you can have more of that landfall stuff. What is this card? This doesn't belong here. Bye bye. Yeah, Spring Art, very very good. Yeah, I used to have more Planeswalkers in this deck, but Planeswalkers, a lot of the mono green ones aren't super great. Like this is really good if you can alter, but it's just like not going to stick around long enough, most likely. And yeah, Azorius Predation could put this back in. Lovely green board wipe. Altar of the Goyf. This is sad because like part of this deck is like trying to be kind of a meme, kind of like, oh, Tarmogoyf is my commander. And part of this deck is supposed to be like, oh yeah, I can actually play this and it's actually good. So there's different versions of this deck, of course, where you just lean into the Tarmogoyf stuff more. Like I'd say this is kind of like a bracket three deck, maybe more of a bracket two. So I'm at least I'm trying to win games. But it's not necessarily like I am kind of kneecapping myself a little bit by having my commander just be a big creature. But hey, sometimes you don't need things to be complicated. You don't need to have all these abilities on your creature. You can just have a 9/10 for 2, and that's gonna have a lot of value for you. Value in the form of killing your opponents. So yeah, that's just the Tarmogoyf lifestyle. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know if you would allow me to play this in your table, and anything I'm missing here. Yeah, absolutely love this deck. Absolutely love Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf for life.